From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report in Special English. More than 700 business leaders, government officials, and investors gathered in Mountain View, California. They were attending the third annual Social Innovation Summit. Landmark Ventures, a financial advisory company, organized the event in December. It was a conference aimed at finding new ways to deal with some old problems, like traffic. Vehicle traffic is an issue that student entrepreneur Christian Brueggemann hopes to solve. His team, Graphmasters, received a Microsoft Imagine Cup grant of $100,000. The German team won the prize for its NUNAV traffic management system. Here is how it works. Drivers using the system send their current position and destination to the system's computer servers every 30 seconds. With that information, the central system can reroute all of the cars in a way that everyone gets his individual best possible route. Christian Brueggemann says tests suggest that using such a system could save up to 20% on fuel consumption and up to 50% on time spent in traffic. A team from Uganda was also invited to the Social Innovation Summit. Team Cypher 256 has developed a mobile app to improve health care for pregnant women in Africa, where maternal and infant mortality rates are extremely high. The mobile app is called Winsenga. It measures fetal heart sounds to help establish the heart rate, age, and position of the fetus in the mother. Cypher 256 leader Aaron Tushabe says the device is similar to medical tests that are costly. Team Cypher 256 also received a Microsoft Imagine Cup grant to help continue their project. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Social media networks have come to play an important part in the political unrest in Syria. The Syrian government barred most media from the country after the unrest began a year ago. But that has not stopped Syrians from getting out information to the rest of the world. Many Syrians have turned to social media like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to help spread reports about what is happening in the country. Hundreds, possibly thousands of videos have appeared on YouTube and other social media sites in the past few weeks. With few foreign reporters in Syria, social media have become a major tool for telling the world what is happening. Many news organizations have had to depend on reports and videos from people they call citizen journalists. Emmanuel Esposti is a blogger in Britain who has been studying the use of such videos by foreign media. She says it is very difficult to know where a video has actually come from or who made it or why. In early March, Syria's deputy oil minister resigned to join the opposition. In a video on YouTube, Abdo Hussameddin had a message for the government of President Bashar al-Assad. He said it had, in his words, brought a year of sadness and misery to those you claim to be your people. He also said the government had deprived its people of basic needs and humanity and brought the country to the edge of disaster. Abdo Hussameddin was the highest official to leave the government since the unrest began. In the video, he urged other Syrian officials to resign. Syrian opposition activist Abdi Hakim Ijburi also knows about the importance of social media. He used social media to contact other opponents of the government. He says many of them wanted to hold protests like those that took place in Egypt and Tunisia. At first, we started using Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to get a group of young people and activists together, he says. And from that group, we started organizing. In his hometown, activists started writing anti-government graffiti on walls. Abdi Hakim Ijburi says that as the protests grew, he was captured and tortured. He escaped to Lebanon like thousands of other Syrians. He says there were lots of people in his hometown that he did not even know were part of the opposition movement or sympathetic to that movement. In his words, if it hadn't been for the social media, we wouldn't have become united. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. I'm Alex Villarreal with the VOA Special English Technology Report. High-quality systems used in video conferencing are called telepresence systems. The images are life-size, yet not truly lifelike. They lack the depth that people would normally see if they were in the same room together. But this could change in the future with new kinds of three-dimensional telepresence systems. Last week, we told you about a 3D system at the University of Arizona. Researchers can send a moving image over the internet and show it on a special screen in close to real time. People would not have to wear special glasses like they often need to watch 3D movies. The system uses a lot of cameras to take pictures of a person from different positions. Lasers reproduce the pictures combined into three-dimensional images or holograms. The image appears more realistic with the more cameras that are used and the more pictures that are taken. Howard Lichtman is president of the Human Productivity Lab. His company advises other companies on buying and using telepresence systems. Mr. Lichtman also publishes Telepresence Options, which reports on the industry. He says this latest development would have done wonders for the Star Wars movie with the famous Princess Leia hologram scene. The researchers in Arizona say their 3D system is still years away from completion. Even then, Howard Lichtman says it may have trouble competing with systems already on the market. Most telepresence systems are two-dimensional. But Mr. Lichtman says the images are very realistic. He says it is a 2D image, but it is clear and realistic. He says you would think you were in the same physical space with people who might be thousands of kilometers away. Howard Lichtman says prices for telepresence systems are going down as more people use the technology. A new $18 million project aims to create 11 telepresence centers for federal employees around the United States. The government is working with the AT&T company to save money and reduce pollution by reducing the need for travel. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. For more reports about technology, go to our website, voaspecialenglish.com. You can also find our programs online with transcripts and MP3 files. And you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at VOA Learning English.
This is the VOA Special English Development Report. Delegates from around the world have agreed on a new plan to end the worst kinds of child labor by 2016. More than 450 delegates from 80 countries approved the plan at the Global Child Labor Conference. It was held in The Hague, the Netherlands, in May, a week before the International Labor Organization released its third global report on child labor. The report said there are still 215 million child laborers in the world. 115 million of them are working in some of the worst kinds of child labor. These are often dangerous to their health and safety. The ILO notes that child labor is decreasing worldwide, but it is decreasing at a much slower rate than 4 years ago. The organization also warned that the global economic crisis could slow progress even more. It called for an increase in global efforts in order to reach the goals for ending the worst forms of child labor. Representatives at the conference talked about what actions need to be taken. Patrick Quinn is with the ILO's International Program on the Elimination of Child Labor. He says there is clear evidence of the kinds of policies and programming interventions that can be most effective in combating the problem. Mr. Quinn said these include governments working to end the barriers that stop poor families from getting education for their children. And they include governments putting in place the right education policies. Mr. Quinn says efforts to combat the problem must also be increased at the community level. He said the ILO is working with local civic organizations to change opinions about child labor. The ILO report notes that several areas of the world are making important progress. They include Latin America, the Caribbean, and South Asia. The least progress has been made in Africa. Mr. Quinn says world leaders will discuss the issue later this year at a meeting on the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. He says there is a close link between these goals and combating child labor. And that's the VOA Special English Development Report. Transcripts, MP3s, and podcasts of our programs are at voaspecialenglish.com. You can also comment on this and other programs, and you can join us on Facebook and Twitter at VOA Learning English.